Winter in Russia has historically been both a challenge and a source of symbolic meaning. The long nights and bitter cold inspired rituals to honor the sun, the land, and protective spirits as communities sought warmth, sustenance, and guidance through the darkest months. These practices, predating Christianity, centered on communal feasts, fire, song, and reverence for the natural world, ensuring both survival and cultural cohesion. The season's magic is amplified by the arrival of Ded Moroz, or Father Frost, and his companion, the Snow Maiden, whose legends traverse centuries. These figures personify winter itself, embodying both the harshness of frost and the generosity of gift-giving, linking folklore, morality, and celebration. Children and families eagerly anticipate their visits during the festive season, weaving imagination and ritual into the fabric of everyday life. Candles and light are central symbols, illuminating homes, churches, and public spaces. In rural settlements, small candlelit windows glow against dark wooden exteriors, reflecting a centuries-old desire to bring warmth and safety into winter's isolation. In urban centers, twinkling lights and holiday displays transform streets and squares into magical, communal landscapes, echoing the themes of folklore and faith that permeate the season. The sensory experience of Russian winter is richly layered. The crunch of snow underfoot, the smell of freshly baked bread and spiced sweets, and the sound of church bells or children singing carols all contribute to an immersive celebration. Even the bitter cold heightens the intensity of warmth, whether from the hearth, communal gatherings, or the shared anticipation of gifts and festive meals. Russia's vast geography fosters diversity in winter traditions. The northern regions embrace long Arctic nights and indigenous folklore, while central and southern areas incorporate Orthodox rituals, village customs, and urbanized holiday events. Despite these variations, the emotional and cultural core remains consistent, a celebration of endurance, imagination, and communal connection amidst frost and darkness. The frost and ice of Russian winter are not mere obstacles. They are central to the storytelling and ritual landscape. Snow becomes a canvas for folk narratives. Frozen rivers host festive activities, and ice-laden forests provide a backdrop for tales of Ded Moroz's spirits and mythic beings. The environment shapes imagination, just as folklore interprets the natural world, ensuring that winter itself becomes a participant in the seasonal narrative. Even in modern Russia, these landscapes inspire awe and reflection. Families journey to rural homes, urban residents partake in festive markets, and communities gather for concerts, fairs, and religious services, blending centuries of tradition with contemporary life. The environment, combined with folklore, ritual, and faith, creates a season that is simultaneously tangible and magical, anchoring communal and cultural identity in the physical and spiritual landscape. In Russia, winter is more than a backdrop. It is a living canvas of frost, story, and anticipation, setting the stage for the rich tapestry of Christmas, New Year, and seasonal celebration. The cold and darkness are transformed into an opportunity for warmth, imagination, and cultural continuity, ensuring that the frost itself becomes part of the enchantment, guiding families through ritual, story, and communal reflection toward the joys and spiritual depth of the holiday season. Long before the advent of Christianity, the people of Russia observed winter solstice festivals deeply connected to the cycles of nature, survival, and community cohesion. The long, dark winters demanded both practical preparation and ritual observance, giving rise to traditions that would later merge with Christian celebrations, shaping the distinctive character of Russian Jule and Orthodox Christmas. Pre-Christian winter customs centered around the solstice, marking the gradual return of the sun and the promise of longer days. Fire and light were central motifs. Bonfires illuminated villages, hearths were carefully tended, and candles were placed in homes to ward off evil spirits. These practices were both symbolic and practical, offering warmth, protection, and guidance during the harshest months of the year. Feasting was essential. Families shared preserved meats, grains, root vegetables, and dairy products, often accompanied by fermented beverages such as mead or kvass. Communal meals reinforced social bonds and mutual reliance, ensuring survival in a landscape marked by extreme cold and scarce resources. These feasts were structured, ceremonial, and intertwined with storytelling, creating a rhythm that connected the community to both natural cycles and cultural values. Pagan rituals also emphasized spiritual guardianship. Household spirits and landvater were believed to watch over homes and livestock, demanding attentiveness and moral behavior in exchange for protection and prosperity. Offerings of food, careful maintenance of the hearth, and respect for natural spaces were thought to secure favor, embedding ethical and practical lessons within seasonal celebration. Winter festivals were also characterized by music, dance, and performance. Folk songs, choral gatherings, and narrative recitations conveyed cultural memory, moral instruction, and seasonal joy. Children learned through participation, observing the actions and rituals of elders, while adults reinforced social cohesion through shared celebration. These practices ensured the transmission of cultural knowledge across generations. With the arrival of Christianity, many of these pagan customs were adapted rather than abandoned. The Orthodox Church integrated pre-existing symbols of light, fire, and ritual feasting into the celebration of Christ's birth, creating a layered festival that combined spiritual devotion with cultural continuity. Candles now represented Christ as the light of the world, while traditional feasts maintained their central role in community life. Seasonal folklore also evolved. Figures such as Ded Moroz, originally inspired by ancient winter deities and spirits, became intertwined with Christian and popular narratives, offering moral guidance, gift-giving, and playful engagement. Similarly, the interplay between mischief and reward, evident in pre-Christian stories of spirits or tricksters, was retained in the legends of Ded Moroz and his companions, blending humor, ethics, and anticipation. Music and ritual continued to sustain communal bonds. Folk melodies, choral hymns, and early liturgical chants connected the natural world, pre-Christian heritage, and Christian observance, strengthening identity, shared memory, and spiritual awareness. Seasonal celebrations became immersive experiences, combining sight, sound, and participation. These ancient customs also reflected the geography and climate of Russia. Northern winters demanded adaptation, while southern and central regions could emphasize communal gatherings and ceremonial display. Despite regional variation, the overarching themes remained consistent: reverence for nature, preparation for winter, ethical conduct, and celebration through music, story, and communal feasting. Even today, echoes of these pre-Christian and early Orthodox traditions persist. Candlelit homes, communal meals, storytelling, and seasonal song maintain the continuity of cultural memory, linking modern Russian families with centuries of ancestral experience. The moral, social, and spiritual lessons embedded in these customs continue to shape the observance of Jul and Orthodox Christmas. Russian winter, therefore, is not merely a season, but a canvas for ritual, morality, and communal engagement, where folklore, faith, and survival intersect. Through fire, food, story, and song, pre-Christian customs laid the groundwork for centuries of cultural resilience, creating a foundation for the layered and enchanting celebrations of Christmas and New. If you're enjoying it, engage with us. Like, share your thoughts in the comments, and follow World Traditions so we can keep creating more videos. Among the most iconic figures of Russian winter is Ded Moroz, or Father Frost, whose legend embodies the duality of winter's severity and the generosity of the season. Accompanied by his granddaughter, Snegurochka, the Snow Maiden, he personifies the magic, morality, and ritual of Russian, Jul, and Orthodox Christmas. These figures are deeply intertwined with folklore, cultural identity, and communal celebration, bridging centuries of myth and contemporary practice. Ded Moroz's origins are rooted in Slavic mythology and pre-Christian winter deities, where winter was represented as a powerful force requiring respect, caution, and reverence. Early depictions portrayed him as a frost spirit who could be both protective and punitive, reflecting the challenges of surviving harsh Russian winters. Over time, these attributes were softened and transformed, blending with folklore and Christian narratives to create a benevolent figure who delivers gifts, encourages moral behavior, and delights children and families across the country. Snegurochka, the snow maiden, is a later addition to the tradition, symbolizing innocence, purity, and the gentle aspect of winter. Often depicted as young and ethereal, she assists Ded Moroz in distributing gifts and organizing seasonal celebrations. Her presence adds narrative depth to the folklore, creating a dynamic interplay between wisdom, care, and playfulness. Together, Ded Moroz and Snegurochka personify the balance of awe, discipline, and joy that defines Russian winter celebrations. The seasonal arrival of Ded Moroz is eagerly anticipated. Children write letters, sing songs, and prepare decorations in homes and schools. Ded Moroz appears at festive gatherings, both in public venues and private homes, distributing gifts and reciting moral guidance. This participatory ritual emphasizes behavioral reflection, patience, and communal joy, connecting imagination with ethical and social instruction. Their narrative extends beyond gift-giving. Ded Moroz embodies the transition of the year, linking the natural cycles of winter with human activity and community life. Snegurochka complements this by representing the softer, nurturing qualities of the season, ensuring that the harshness of frost is tempered with warmth, care, and guidance. Together, they provide a framework for seasonal storytelling, cultural education, and imaginative play. These figures are visually and symbolically prominent. Ded Moroz is traditionally depicted wearing a long red or blue coat, a fur-lined hat, and carrying a staff, while Snegurochka wears white or silver garments, symbolizing snow and purity. Their costumes and imagery reinforce the thematic elements of winter, light and magic, providing visual continuity across homes, schools, and public celebrations. Music and folklore accompany their appearances. Songs, rhymes, and chants narrate their exploits, blending moral lessons with festive entertainment. Children learn about generosity, kindness, and anticipation, internalizing cultural values through engagement with myth. Storytelling also includes references to spirits, frost, and the seasonal environment, embedding environmental awareness and respect into the folklore. Modern adaptations integrate Ded Moroz and Snegurochka into urban and rural celebrations alike. Televised appearances, theatrical performances, and New Year festivities in schools and community centers ensure widespread engagement. These traditions maintain cultural continuity while allowing flexibility, blending historical mythology with contemporary enjoyment and social participation. Ded Moroz and Snegurochka illustrate the transformative power of folklore. They convert winter, darkness, and harshness into a season of joy, reflection, and moral instruction. Through their stories, children and adults alike engage with ethics, imagination, and community ritual, ensuring that Russian winter remains both magical and meaningful. Ultimately, Father Frost and the Snow Maiden demonstrate how folklore personifies both the severity and the generosity of nature, offering a narrative framework that combines entertainment, morality, and cultural identity. Their enduring presence ensures that Russian Christmas is a season where frost, myth, and communal warmth coexist, captivating hearts and sustaining tradition across generations. In Russia, Christmas is deeply entwined with Orthodox Christianity, celebrated according to the Julian calendar on January 7th, a date that allows the season to unfold amidst the long, frozen winter. The Russian Orthodox Church emphasizes faith, ritual, and communal observance, creating a spiritual and cultural framework that complements folklore, culinary tradition, and seasonal festivity. Orthodox Christmas begins with the Nativity Fast, a period of 40 days that encourages reflection, discipline, and preparation. During this time, families adjust their diet, practicing fasting while cultivating patience, mindfulness, and spiritual focus. The fast connects believers to historical religious practice, emphasizing moral reflection and communal continuity as central aspects of the season. Church services are central to the celebration. On Christmas Eve, congregations gather for the All-Night Vigil, a solemn service marked by candlelight, choral hymns, and ritual prayers. The atmosphere combines awe, reverence, and communal devotion, as congregants participate in centuries-old rites designed to honor the birth of Christ. Icons, often depicting the Nativity or saints associated with winter, are venerated, linking worshippers to both history and spiritual tradition. The liturgy emphasizes light and guidance. Candles symbolize Christ as the light of the world, and their glow transforms icy, dark church interiors into spaces of spiritual warmth and reflection. Hymns, chants, and prayers fill the sacred space with sound, creating a multi-sensory experience that engages sight, hearing, and emotion. Music functions as a vehicle for devotion, storytelling, and cultural memory, echoing through the stone walls and resonating with centuries of observance. Iconography plays a crucial role. Religious images adorn churches, homes, and public spaces, serving as focal points for reflection, prayer, and storytelling. They reinforce the theological and cultural dimensions of Christmas, providing visual narratives that guide devotion and connect the faithful to centuries of religious heritage. Many families display a nativity scene, combining visual representation with storytelling and household ritual. Feasting follows the vigil and liturgy. Traditional foods are prepared in accordance with Orthodox fasting rules and local customs, emphasizing both sustenance and symbolic meaning. The holiday meal is a time for families to gather, celebrate, and reflect, blending spiritual observance with communal joy. Culinary preparation itself becomes ritualized, teaching younger generations about faith, culture, and moral practice. Music within Orthodox observance is central to both ceremony and home celebration. Choral hymns, folk songs, and seasonal chants provide an auditory narrative that reinforces the sacred story of Christ's birth. Singing, whether in church or at home, bridges past and present, embedding religious and cultural memory while creating a shared emotional experience. Regional variations influence observance. Northern areas may incorporate folk customs, storytelling, and seasonal songs alongside liturgical practice, while urban centers emphasize formal church attendance and community events. Despite these differences, the underlying principles, faith, reflection, ritual, and communal participation, unite Russian communities across geography and social context. Even in modern times, Orthodox Christmas remains a living tradition. Families balance religious observance with folklore, music, and seasonal customs, ensuring that faith remains central while allowing for cultural adaptation. Icons, candlelight, hymnody, and feasting create a food is an essential pillar of Russian winter celebrations, providing nourishment, ritual significance, and cultural continuity. Across the vast country, the seasonal table reflects centuries of history, regional diversity, and the blending of Orthodox Christian observance with pre-Christian and folkloric traditions. Every dish carries symbolism, memory, and communal importance, making culinary practice central to Jule and Orthodox Christmas. The holiday feast often begins with kutya, a ceremonial grain pudding made from wheat or rice, sweetened with honey and sometimes mixed with poppy seeds, raisins, or nuts. Kutya is served on Christmas Eve, a meal traditionally consumed after fasting, and embodies remembrance, prosperity, and spiritual reflection. Each ingredient carries meaning. Wheat represents life, honey symbolizes sweetness and hope, and the communal sharing of the dish connects participants across generations. Other staple dishes include borscht, a beet-based soup, rich with flavor and warmth, and pirogi, baked pastries filled with cabbage, meat, or berries. These dishes combine practical sustenance with ritualized preparation, reinforcing family cooperation and intergenerational teaching. Preparing the Jule feast is as much about tradition and cultural transmission as it is about feeding the body. Meat and fish are integral components. In northern regions, smoked or salted fish, particularly herring and sturgeon, is common, reflecting historical preservation methods critical during long winters. Roast meats, including pork or poultry, are central in central and southern regions, symbolizing abundance and celebration. Each preparation emphasizes seasonal availability, regional identity, and ritual significance. Baked goods and sweets are central to festivity. Blini, thin pancakes often served with honey, caviar, or sour cream, symbolize the sun and its return after the winter solstice. Gingerbread cookies, fruit preserves, and spiced cakes offer sensory delight and reinforce communal activity. Baking is a participatory tradition, bringing families together to teach, share, and celebrate collectively. Drinks also contribute to the season's ritual. Compotes made from dried fruits, spiced teas, and kavas are common in rural regions, while mulled beverages provide warmth and comfort. These drinks accompany storytelling, carols, and gatherings, creating a multi-sensory, immersive holiday experience that integrates flavor with folklore and ritual. Preparation is highly ritualized. Families adhere to recipes passed down through generations, using techniques that preserve both flavor and cultural memory. Children participate in baking and cooking, learning about ingredients, methods, and the symbolism embedded in each dish. Food thus becomes a conduit for cultural education, moral reflection, and communal cohesion. Regional variations highlight Russia's geographic and cultural diversity. Northern and Arctic communities emphasize preserved fish and simple fare, while central areas include more elaborate pastries and meat dishes. Urban households often blend traditional recipes with modern influences, ensuring that culinary practices remain relevant yet rooted in heritage. The ritual aspect of food extends beyond the table. Sharing kutya, leaving small treats for household spirits, and participating in communal baking reinforce ethical behavior, attentiveness, and gratitude, echoing the lessons embedded in Russian folklore. Culinary traditions thus function simultaneously as nourishment, moral education, and cultural storytelling. Through food, Russians experience winter celebrations holistically. Taste, smell, preparation, and sharing create emotional resonance, social cohesion, and cultural continuity. Every meal, every dish, and every act of preparation sustains centuries of tradition, bridging past and present while ensuring that the magic, warmth, and spiritual depth of Russian jewel remain alive, meaningful, and immersive. Music is an essential heartbeat of Russian winter celebrations, providing rhythm, emotional resonance, and a conduit for cultural memory. From Orthodox church chants to folk melodies and carols, sound permeates the season, guiding participants through ritual, storytelling, and communal engagement, creating a living, immersive experience during the frostbound months. At the core of Orthodox observance are liturgical hymns sung during nativity services, all-night vigils, and candlelit ceremonies. These chants are often performed in unison by choirs, accompanied by resonant acoustics of churches, emphasizing spiritual reflection, devotion, and the sanctity of light in darkness. The melodies connect worshippers to centuries of tradition, creating an auditory bridge between past and present. Folk music complements sacred song. Across rural villages and urban centers, families and communities perform seasonal songs, or Kolyadki, often associated with caroling, storytelling, and visiting neighbors. These songs recount folklore, mythical beings, and the narratives of Ded Moroz and Snegurochka, blending entertainment with moral and cultural education. Children learn lyrics and melodies, participating actively in the musical and ethical transmission of culture. In addition to vocal music, instrumental traditions enrich the holiday balalikas, domras, accordions, and small percussion instruments accompany carols, dances, and community performances. The tactile rhythm of instruments echoes the physical environment, the crunch of snow, the rattle of sleigh bells, connecting music with seasonal and environmental experience. Choirs, school performances, and community ensembles play a critical role in sustaining these traditions. Seasonal concerts, often featuring mixed repertoires of Orthodox hymns and folk songs, create spaces for shared experience, cultural participation, and intergenerational engagement. Music becomes both a unifying force and a means of preserving identity, ensuring that traditional melodies are passed from elders to children. Music also accompanies domestic rituals. Families sing while preparing festive meals, decorating homes, or engaging in storytelling, integrating song into everyday celebration. These moments link auditory pleasure with moral and cultural lessons, reinforcing attention, patience, and participation. The songs, whether sacred or secular, imbue seasonal activities with emotion, rhythm, and cultural resonance. Modern technology amplifies the reach and accessibility of these traditions. Televised performances, online streaming of choral concerts, and digital recordings of folk and liturgical music allow remote participation and international appreciation. Despite these innovations, the emotional and cultural essence of music remains intact. Communal engagement, reflection, and joy continue to define the auditory landscape of Russian winter. Music also functions as narrative and mnemonic tool, encoding folklore, history, and moral lessons into melody. Through repetition, performance, and participation, stories of Ded Moroz, Snegurochka, household spirits, and winter lore are embedded in the cultural consciousness, ensuring continuity and accessibility across generations. In Russia, winter music transforms the dark, frozen months into a living cultural tapestry, where sound illuminates the season as vividly as candles or hearth fires. Hymns, carols, and folk songs guide emotion, reinforce ethics, and celebrate communal life, ensuring that the seasonal narrative, a blend of frost, folklore, and faith, is both experienced and remembered. Through music, Russians engage fully with winter, bridging sacred and secular, past and present, imagination and ritual. The melodies echo across landscapes and generations, carrying with them the joy, reflection, and magic of Orthodox Christmas and Jule, sustaining the heart of Russian culture during the long, icy nights. In contemporary Russia, Christmas and winter celebrations are a dynamic blend of tradition, folklore, faith, and modern spectacle, reflecting centuries of history while adapting to urbanization, globalization, and cultural innovation. From rural villages to metropolitan centers, Russians engage in festivities that are simultaneously communal, educational, and enchanting, maintaining the magic of winter through ritual, storytelling, and social connection. Urban centers such as Moscow, Issyk, Petersburg, and Kazan transform into hubs of seasonal activity. Streets and squares are illuminated with decorative lights. Monumental Christmas trees are displayed in public plazas, and markets offer handcrafted ornaments, traditional foods, and local crafts. These public celebrations reinforce collective identity and participation, creating shared experiences that extend beyond the home and church into civic life. Ded Moroz and Snegurochka are central to both public and private celebrations. Children visit performances, cultural centers, and theatrical events where the pair appears to distribute gifts, recite stories, and lead games. These appearances merge folklore with interactive performance, ensuring that myth, imagination, and morality are integrated into communal experiences. Families participate actively, reinforcing social bonds while instilling ethical lessons through anticipation, behavior, and playful interaction. In rural areas, celebrations retain a more intimate, family-centered quality. Candlelit homes, traditional cooking, storytelling, and singing combine with Orthodox observance to create deeply immersive experiences. Families prepare festive meals such as kutya, borscht, pirogi, and blini, leaving small offerings for household spirits or honoring ancestors, connecting food with folklore, ritual, and memory. Children learn the seasonal stories through participation, embedding both cultural and moral lessons into lived experience. Schools and educational institutions play a pivotal role. Children participate in concerts, plays, and recitals that integrate folklore, Orthodox liturgy, and seasonal music, ensuring the continuation of tradition in a structured, yet playful, format. Teachers and elders guide younger generations, in both the historical significance and contemporary practice of Christmas, combining cultural literacy with experiential learning. Modern technology further enhances participation. Televised concerts, online storytelling, and digital broadcasts of church services allow communities to engage remotely, bridging urban and rural divides. Social media provides a platform for sharing traditions, decorations, recipes, and festive performances, expanding both visibility and engagement while preserving cultural authenticity. The blending of Orthodox faith, folklore, and public spectacle illustrates the adaptive nature of Russian winter celebrations. Ritual, music, food, and mythology coexist with contemporary forms of entertainment, tourism, and media, maintaining relevance without sacrificing cultural depth. Communities and families actively interpret these traditions, ensuring that each generation participates in a living, evolving cultural experience. Regional diversity enriches modern celebrations. Northern regions emphasize long winter nights and folklore associated with frost and spirits, while central and southern areas highlight urban festivities, Orthodox ceremonies, and culinary depth. This variation illustrates the flexibility of tradition, allowing adaptation to geography, climate, and social structure while maintaining coherence in the symbolic and moral core of Jule and Christmas. Ultimately, modern Russian celebrations demonstrate that winter is both a time of endurance and enchantment, where folklore, faith, and communal life intertwine. Ded Moroz, Snegurochka, Orthodox rituals, seasonal music, and culinary customs converge to create an immersive, participatory, and meaningful holiday, transforming the harsh northern winter into a season of joy, reflection, and cultural continuity. Through these modern adaptations, Russia ensures that the magic of frost, folklore, and orthodoxy remains alive, relevant, and profoundly human. Winter becomes not merely a climatic challenge, but a canvas for imagination, community, and enduring tradition. As the long Russian winter deepens, the season of Christmas and Jule is defined not merely by snow and cold, but by the fusion of folklore, orthodoxy, and communal celebration. Across sprawling landscapes, from urban centers to remote villages, families engage in traditions that illuminate the darkness with story, music, and ritual, ensuring that winter is both magical and meaningful. Central to this enduring spirit is Ded Moroz, Father Frost, whose legend personifies the frost itself, while embodying generosity, moral guidance, and festive joy. Accompanied by his granddaughter Snegurochka, the Snow Maiden, he visits homes, schools, and public events, bringing gifts and enchantment. Their presence reflects a cultural continuity that connects ancient myth with contemporary practice, engaging children and adults alike in participatory storytelling and ritual. Folklore, including the cautionary tales of spirits, household guardians, and winter figures, reinforces ethical and social values. Gorilla-like figures and mythic warnings embedded in traditional stories teach attentiveness, industriousness, and respect, balancing the delight of gift-giving with reflection on behavior. These narratives, paset, oraji, through music and in literature, maintain cultural memory and moral instruction across generations. Orthodox faith amplifies the spiritual dimension. Candlelit nativity services, all-night vigils, and veneration of icons provide sacred grounding amidst seasonal festivity. Hymns, chants, and ritual prayers fill churches and homes with sound, transforming winter darkness into a space of reflection, reverence, and communal cohesion. The interplay of light, ritual, and song bridges the temporal with the spiritual, ensuring that winter celebration is both joyous and meaningful. Culinary traditions sustain warmth and social connection. Dishes such as kutya, borscht, pirogi, blini, and spiced pastries connect participants to history, environment, and moral tradition. Shared meals strengthen family and community bonds, while rituals like leaving symbolic offerings or preparing specific dishes teach cultural literacy and continuity. Food is simultaneously sustenance, celebration, and embodied memory, Music unites sacred and secular dimensions. Folk songs, carols, and liturgical hymns resonate throughout homes, schools, and churches, blending storytelling with melody. Participation in song fosters community, embeds cultural knowledge, and evokes emotional resonance, turning winter nights into auditory tapestries of history, imagination, and moral guidance. Modern Russia balances innovation with tradition. Urban festivities, televised Ded Moroz performances, Christmas markets, and digital storytelling platforms allow widespread engagement, while rural communities maintain intimate, home-centered observances. Technology extends the reach of folklore and ritual without diminishing their emotional and cultural depth, ensuring relevance across generations and geography. The enduring magic of Russian winter lies in its integration of environment, myth, faith, and community. Snow and frost provide both challenge and inspiration. Ded Moroz and Snegurochka bring delight and moral reflection. Orthodox rituals offer spiritual depth, and music and culinary tradition connect participants across time and space. Together, these elements create a living cultural ecosystem, where each aspect enhances the others. If this journey through Russia's frost, folklore, and Orthodox Christmas inspired you, help keep the magic alive. Like this video to celebrate enduring traditions. Comment below where you're watching from and share your favorite winter ritual. Subscribe to World Traditions to explore more of the world's enchanting cultural celebrations. Russian winter demonstrates that magic thrives where story, ritual, and community meet. The frost may be harsh, but through folklore, faith, music, and food, light, warmth, and joy endure. In every home, village, and city square, the spirits of Jewel illuminates hearts and minds, ensuring that the enchantment of winter and the lessons of tradition live on.